So good day to all of you. So today we are looking at market failure part 2 essay question 3. So the question that is being posed to us is as follows. All right, explain how the different types of imperfect information. So today we are going to look at imperfect information. How it can lead to inefficient allocation of resources. So as per usual, we do our question analysis and we can see our command word here is explain. So I think by now you should all be familiar with the expectation of command word of explain. So you need to, in detail, describe, not really describe, but more of detail about how the various instances, all right, how the different types of imperfect information. When we talk about imperfect information, what exactly is imperfect information? So imperfect information can be as follows. All right, it could be in the case of your merit, demerit good. Okay, the overestimation or underestimation of your cost and benefit. All right, so in that context, you have your merit, demerit. So over underestimation of either your cost or benefit lah. So depending on your context. So that is one extent of your imperfect information. Please be very careful when we talk about imperfect information. Please do not be too narrow in terms of how you see imperfect information. When we talk about imperfect information, we are talking about merit. We are talking about one form, one extent of it is your underestimation, overestimation of your cost benefit. Another type, of course, is what you have been learning in these few tutorials, asymmetric information. All right, and of course, you also have things like your persuasive advertising, all right, or false advertising. So depending on the extent as well. So when we talk about imperfect information, all right, it can be one of the following lah. All right, and I think if you look at the question, the preamble already give you three contexts: medical services, infant milk powder, as well as home appliances. So we want to make use of this preamble context, the context that's given in the preamble, to see how each of them fall into the category. All right, and then explain how it results in market failure. Okay, so if we look at the following, I think you can quite clearly see that when we talk about medical services or healthcare services, right, it falls under your merit, demerit. Good. Okay, whereby consumers may underestimate the benefits of consuming medical or healthcare services. So I believe we're all familiar with how to explain that. So I think that's how you go about doing it. All right. When we talk about infant milk powder, all right, if you look at the articles that I sent to you, all right, for you to read through, all right, you can see how the type of imperfect information that's associated with infant milk powder, at least in the context of Singapore, right, is very much associated with your persuasive advertising. All right, whereby your milk, infant milk companies, all right, all these producers of this infant milk powder, what they do is they engage in advertising. They engage in tie-ups with hospitals, all right, to try to position and portray their infant milk powder to be better than the others in the market. And the price markup of this supposed better milk powder is quite significant, resulting in concerns from ministers. All right, so that's something that I think is being handled and being tackled in Singapore. So if you read through the extract, not really actually, if you read through the article that I sent out, you would have a better understanding, and you should be able to explain how imperfect information, in this case here, persuasive advertising, how it causes market failure as a result of this. When we talk about home appliances, what type of market failure, what kind of imperfect information is it? All right, basically that's that of your asymmetric information. Okay, so asymmetric information, there could be, so remember there's always two party. So the consumer and then your company. Okay, and in this case, here is the company that's selling your electrical appliances. So it could be in terms of having information in terms of your quality of product, or it could be safety of product. So between the two, consumer and company would have understanding of the quality as well as or even the safety of the product. But consumers, they do not have any idea. So with this asymmetric information, all right, it could lead to adverse selection happening. All right, so if you know how to explain that manner, you should be able to answer this question as such. All right, so I believe this question should be no problem for all of you. So that's for part A. All right, so if you have any question, please let me know. If not, I'll move on to part B. So part B, what we are looking at here. All right, so as per usual, your market failure type of questions, usually first question is about market source of market failure, explain how it happens. Part B, usually it's on policies. Okay, and by now you should know the HEL approach, how policy work, how is it effective, as well as limitation of policies. So in this case here, discuss whether, so you know it's a two-sided question. All right, whether subsidies should be implemented to achieve efficient allocation of resources where imperfect information exists. So pertaining to what you have in part A, part B is sort of like a follow-up question, whether subsidies here should be implemented. All right, so I think if we are all very familiar with this, we should know that this is how we do our question analysis. And in terms of our schematic plan, this is what we are going to do. So we're going to talk about subsidies as a policy. So in the cases before, we saw how your underestimation of benefits from your medical services. Okay, this is one. You also saw how there was persuasive advertising from your infant milk powder. That's two. And also your appliances. That's three. Okay, so in these three cases, would a subsidy here be able to achieve efficient allocation of resources? All right, so subsidy, I think we all can see quite clearly it should work at least in this context because medical services, healthcare services, it being a merit good, okay, you can provide subsidies, but whether this can exactly tackle information failure or this underestimation, that is something that you want to question. Okay, and then when we look at persuasive advertising, okay, subsidies here, is it helpful to address the market failure in that, as well as in the case of asymmetric info in the case of your appliances, is it helpful? So you want to look at subsidies, look at how the policy work across the various sources of market failure where information is imperfect, look at the strengths and advantages, look at the limitations of the subsidy. And of course, you want to talk about other policies. So other policies, you could have legislation, you could have public education. Through that, you can see how policy work, the strength and advantages, limitation. Last but not least, evaluation is worth 5 marks, so make a stand and pass judgment. All right, and justify your stand and judgment. Okay, so with that, I shall end my slides because I think this is a very straightforward case. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. All right, so that's that. Thank you.